Right now, the Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq are all sitting near record highs. Home equity in America has never been worth more. On paper, this is one of the best moments in U.S. economic history. But ask the average person on the street how the economy is doing, and you'll get a completely different answer. Because here's the strange part. The same week the stock market prints a new record, a record number of Americans are also raiding their own retirement accounts early, paying a penalty just to survive the month. So which one is true? Is the economy booming or is it breaking? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Both. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why, and more importantly, which side of that line you're standing on. Let's start with the numbers that get all the headlines. The stock market has more than doubled since 2020. Home prices are up more than 50% in the same window. Total household net worth in America has crossed levels no country has ever hit before. If you only read the headlines, you'd think everyone's doing great. But flip over to consumer sentiment surveys and you find something bizarre. Confidence in the economy is sitting near multi-decade lows, lower than during the 2008 financial crisis, lower than the early pandemic shutdowns. That gap between the data and the vibes isn't a mistake. It's not people being irrational. It's a signal. It's telling you that the economy everyone talks about on the news isn't the economy most people actually live in. Because rising asset prices don't fall evenly across the country like rainfall. They land in very specific bank accounts. If you don't own the assets that are going up, the record highs simply aren't happening to you. They're just a number on a screen you scroll past on your way to work. So the real question isn't, is the economy growing? It clearly is. The real question is, who is it growing for? Let's follow the money. Roughly the wealthiest 10% of American households own the overwhelming majority of stock market wealth in this country. That's not a typo. The top 10% own the large majority of it. Flip that around, and the bottom half of the country, tens of millions of households, own a sliver of the market. Not a sliver each, a sliver total, split between all of them. Now, the common pushback is, but everyone has a 401k now, right? And sure, more than half of Americans technically own some stock, but owning some stock and owning enough stock to matter are two different things. Here's the gap in real numbers. For the bottom half of American households, typical stock holdings are in the low 5 figures. For the wealthiest 10%, it's closer to $500,000. That's not a small gap, that's a different universe. So when the market goes up 15 to 20% in a year, that same percentage gain means something completely different depending on where you sit. For one household, it's a couple $1,000s on paper. For another, it's the down payment on a second house. Same market, same headline, two completely different outcomes. Now, let's step away from the stock market and look at something more grounded, the paycheck. Wages have technically been rising, but inflation has been rising right alongside them, and in a lot of recent stretches, prices have crept up just as fast or faster than pay, which means for a huge chunk of workers, a raise on paper doesn't actually buy more than it did last year. Sometimes it buys less. When you ask Americans what their single biggest financial worry is, it's rarely, "I don't have a job." It's the cost of living. Groceries, rent, insurance, childcare. The basics have gotten more expensive faster than paychecks have kept up. And that mismatch is exactly why so many working people say their financial situation feels like it's slipping, even while unemployment stays low and the stock market keeps climbing. You can have a job, a paycheck, and still feel like you're falling behind, because you are. So if wages aren't stretching far enough, how is consumer spending still holding up? How is the economy still technically growing? The answer is debt. Credit card balances in the U.S. have climbed to record territory, and average interest rates on that debt are sitting in the low to mid 20% range. That's not people financing vacations. Survey after survey shows a huge share of cardholders say they're carrying debt just to cover everyday expenses, groceries, gas, rent, not luxuries, survival. There's an entire new category of borrowing built around this: buy now, pay later. It used to be for furniture or concert tickets. Now, tens of millions of people use it, and a growing share admit they've used it just to afford groceries. And then there's the safety net that's supposed to catch people when things go wrong: personal savings. The national savings rate has fallen close to its lowest levels on record. And when economists break that number down by income, the picture gets even more alarming. For a huge portion of lower and middle-income households, the savings rate is negative. They're not just failing to save, they're spending more than they bring in every month. That's not a slowdown, that's a slow bleed. For years, economists called this a K-shaped economy. One line going up, one line going down, splitting apart like the two arms of the letter K. But that's actually too simple now. A more honest picture looks like the letter E. Picture three bars. The top bar is stretched way out. That's the wealthiest households, riding the stock market and real estate boom, pulling further and further ahead because they own the assets that are inflating. The bottom bar sits flat on the floor. That's the households with next to no stock market exposure, running negative savings, leaning on credit cards and buy now, pay later just to get through the week. And the middle bar, the largest group, the people who used to feel solidly middle class, isn't flat. It's tilted, sloping slowly downward. Their raises get eaten by inflation. Their spending is quietly shifting from where they used to shop to wherever's cheapest. They're not in crisis yet, but they can feel the floor tilting under them. Three bars, three completely different economic realities, all stacked inside the same country, all reading the same headlines about record highs. So next time you see a headline that says the economy's booming, it's not wrong, it's just incomplete. Because the real question was never whether the economy is growing, it's who it's growing for. If this breakdown helped connect the dots, drop a comment and tell me, which bar of the E do you feel like you're standing on right now? And if you want more videos that cut through the headlines like this, make sure you're subscribed.